Mayor Andre Dickens here. I'm pleased to welcome you to the second edition of Doing Business with the City of Atlanta. This workshop is presented by the Mayor's Office of International and Immigrant Affairs, the Atlanta Department of Procurement, Invest Atlanta, and the Atlanta Beltline. We are proud to be a diverse, welcoming city and want to ensure that all Atlantans share in our continued growth and prosperity. Through this program, we are working to bolster Atlanta's thriving economy and workforce by empowering our minority-owned businesses and immigrant entrepreneurs. We are excited to present this opportunity for direct engagement with city officials so that we can make an even greater impact and move Atlanta forward together. Thank you for being here with us today.
All right, everyone. Hello, good afternoon. It should be 12 at this point. Good afternoon. My name is Nicholas Mulkey. I am the Ecosystem and Experience Architect here at the Mayor's Office of International and Immigrant Affairs. And what that means is that I lead the global commerce and business empowerment efforts of the office. We want to make sure that you guys take home some great resources today. We want to make sure that you learn a lot. And one of the things we want to make sure that you get more so than anything else is that the city is intentional about empowering you to be the best you can be here at the city of Atlanta. We're intentional about making sure that Atlanta is a city for all, and it has opportunity for all, that includes all. The mayor often likes to say that we draw circles, not lines. And this event, you being here, is an exact representation of that. I'd like to thank our partners, the Department of Procurement, Invest Atlanta, Georgia Municipal Association, as well as others, Ace Loans, and some of the other partners who have helped us with information here. So thank you guys for that. Thank you guys for being here. And we're gonna continue to draw these circles together so that we can move Atlanta forward as a unit. We can't do it without you, and we're hoping that we can continue to empower you to move forward here in this city with us. And with that, I'll get started on letting you know a little bit about the office itself. So the Mayor's Office of International and Immigrant Affairs, our main vision is to position Atlanta as a welcoming city. That is critical when it comes to ensuring that everyone has a space, a place, and opportunity here. We want to build a connected, inclusive community that uplifts everyone from our foreign-born to our minority populations to our women entrepreneurs and others. We want to make sure that Atlanta is a global hub for diplomacy, business, innovation, and education, as well as culture and sports. And we do that by fostering connections between all the different entities that we work with throughout the city and the state and the federal government. We're a bridge builder. We connect our international population, our international community and businesses directly to the city of Atlanta, directly to you, and vice versa. Here's our team. We're led by our interim director, Paulina Guzman, and our interim deputy director, Meredith Steinmetz Rodriguez. We tackle many different, we tackle the international affairs subject area from many different angles, from whether it's policy, whether it's community engagement, whether it's youth engagement, business. We tend to cover a lot of different spaces at any given time. Our office, our colleagues are off anywhere in the city doing a lot of different things, from resource events to things like this, to meeting with delegations and chambers and other organizations to help further Atlanta's economic impact. One thing that we like to talk about is Atlanta's global profile. People don't tend to understand just how global Atlanta is. We have over 70 consular trade offices, 30 binational chambers. We have 17 sister cities, and we have over 25,000 international students that are here annually. Our immigrant population is almost at 1 million foreign-born residents, almost at 14%. Of course, I know you guys know about the busiest and most efficient airport in the world. We have over flights to over 70 international cities, with more coming, and 9 sister city airport agreements with more coming, particularly in the region of Africa as well as South Asia. We have a global business ecosystem. Nearly 70,000 immigrant entrepreneurs, 21.2 billion in exports. Georgia and Atlanta are climbing the charts when it comes to international trade at an exponential rate. To give you a little understanding of our immigrant profile, the breakdown of who's here, most of our immigrant population comes from the Americas. We have a growing increase in population from Southeast Asia. We have a growing population from Africa, and we have a European population standing at about 10%. When I say emerging gateway for Southeast Asia, as you can see, we have the 2nd largest Bhutanese community, 5th largest Burmese community, 7th largest Nepalese community, and so on and so forth. What you're seeing is that the world is starting to recognize Atlanta as a global hub truly. And so what we're trying to do in our office is make sure that we facilitate access to the resources, the knowledge, and the community infrastructure that's necessary to make sure that everyone, no matter where you start on the globe, can make a home here, can make a life here, and can build a business here. All right, looking at the immigrant, well, that's also immigrant population profile. One thing I think that one of the reasons why we don't really get credit for how global we are is because most of the global population lives outside of the city itself. We're working hard to make sure that we can begin to bring more of international population into the city, international culture into the city, international businesses into the city, so that people can feel that international presence when they're here. Additionally, you know, we're looking at Georgia's population growth being contributing almost 90% by foreign born and 25% by US born. Immigrant profile, this is by country. So Mexico contributes a lot to our population, India, then Jamaica, South Korea. Most of our immigrant community is of Spanish or Spanish speakers, followed by Vietnamese and Mandarin and Cantonese. I'll briefly go over kind of our 6 goals. So as you all know, the mayor has deemed this year and last year the year of the youth. Youth and education and empowerment is critical to our office's function. We have our esteemed colleague, Peter. He tackles most of that portfolio. Welcoming city, we want to make sure that in every way we are engaging all of our population, and we're strengthening all of our population. That makes us a more welcoming city. That tends to dovetail perfectly with Martin Luther King's beloved community philosophy. As a city, we tend to hold the flag for that. Neighborhood empowerment, we want to make sure that people live in safe cities. We want to make sure that safe communities. We want to make sure that we're building trust with between communities and APD. We do that in a variety of ways. One of the ways we do that is through our community resource events. And I'll talk more about that as we continue through the presentation. Diplomacy. We host over 120 delegations, international delegations annually, whether they be business, whether that's ambassadors. We've hosted prime ministers. We've even seen king and queens come through to talk with us and honestly try to understand what's the special sauce here in Atlanta. What is making us, why are we growing so fast? How is our economy becoming so inclusive? How are we capable of doing the things that we're doing? The world is taking notice, and we want to make sure that as we take notice and as we grow, we're bringing everybody with us, and we're not leaving anybody behind. International business, of course, same thing is where we have chambers, the 30 binational chambers, and they're bringing in delegations for tech, for fintech, for AI, for many different industries because of Atlanta's economic diversity. Our university system here, honestly, pumps out a lot of talent that a lot of different industries are interested in, and that makes us a magnet for foreign direct investment. And finally, sports diplomacy. I'm not going to talk about the Falcons, but the rest of our teams are the Falcons too. But the Falcons are great. But no, sports diplomacy. No one. We tend to say that no one leverages its sports assets as well as Atlanta does. We use sports as a way to build connections to business, as a way to build connections to diplomatic entities, as a way to further the city's brand. We use sports in that way. So as you all probably know, we have the 2026 World Cup coming. That's a huge opportunity for us that we're taking seriously, and we're going to be leveraging this sports diplomacy portfolio to really maximize that opportunity for the city. So here are some of the examples of our portfolio under youth and education. We have annual student internship opportunities, speaking engagements with middle and high school students. One thing that we're really keen on is trying to make sure that middle and high school students know about the opportunities that exist here in Atlanta before they even think about college. We want to let them know that, hey, whether you want to be an entrepreneur, whether you want to go into trades, whether you want to go for the college degree, you can get it all done here in Atlanta. And with our office, we're capable of touching many different youth populations to ensure that everyone is able to know and tap into those resources so that they can stay here. Talent retention and keeping people here is really critical for us. We also do, oh, goodness. Yeah, and so we do youth-focused activities as well, and we have student volunteer opportunities for our community resource events. Welcome City. So we had the annual Ramadan Iftar dinner. We oftentimes host naturalization ceremonies at City Hall, which is a beautiful ceremony to witness. I Speak ATL. Access to information has to first allow for access to language access. I'm sorry. Access to information requires language access. We have to make sure that all of this information that we have, all of this knowledge that we have, can be accessed by ESOL individuals and people who just are speaking, different languages. We have to make sure that they can tap into this, to the resources that the city has. And so we do that through I Speak ATL. I Speak ATL is an incredible tool for translation and interpretation that people can use if you call the city. Latinx Pride reception, we hosted the first one last year. Yep, the first one last year. Again, building upon that inclusivity, again, building upon that openness and that welcoming spirit. Immigrant Heritage Month festivities, and as well as Mexican Independence Day celebration. This slide shows you a good bit of like the growing trend that we're seeing when it comes to people recognizing Atlanta as a global hub and seeing Atlanta as a place to live. We've seen a rapid increase in interpretation calls and a rapid increase in the amount of time people are spending on these calls. So people are tuned into Atlanta and they want to be here and they want to figure out how they can best leverage their resources, their skills, and their knowledge to really move forward here. And we're providing that access. And these charts show that we're getting a great return on that. Neighborhood empowerment. So you probably heard me say a few times community resource events. These community resource events are really a staple in what we do. And at these community resource events, what we do is basically bring stabilization resources from toiletries to food to knowledge, health information directly to communities. They're open to the public. Anyone can come and take advantage of it. And through these resources, we build connections and we build trust with the communities so that people know that we're here to help first and foremost, and that you can use these resources as a way to tap into the city and tap into other community resources that exist. My City ATL program. So My City ATL is really another one of those programs that allows for deeper connection to the city and engagement with the immigrant population. We do victim services programs, a victim services program, as well as health and wellness initiatives. And we have a community navigator program. So it's very critical for us to have representatives in the community who are of the community, because what that means is that we can build, that's our way of building that trust with people. I can't, people in suits and all this other stuff can't just go to communities and talk down to them about blase or whatever. You have to have someone who's able to be there in that community to let them know that, number one, we're worth trusting. Number two, that we have the resources because they've experienced the resource attainment themselves. So we've found that this community navigator program is incredibly helpful for us because, and we're looking to expand it, expand that model across the city. Here is a kind of a breakdown of where our community resource events are throughout the city. Again, it's about community, earning trust, and having a focus area in in these spaces that really help stabilize an individual, whether it be food access, whether it be financial literacy, health and well-being, housing, of course. All of this information is usually available in some shape or form at the community resource events. Diplomacy. So again, we've had, last year we opened up a direct flight to Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. We celebrated that connection. That was a very long, that took a lot of diplomacy going back and forth between the entities to really build that bridge. And we're doing that work in a number of different ways with a number of different countries to continue to elevate the quality of life and the access that Atlanta residents and Atlanta businesses have. Oh yes, as well as we had a delegation from Germany celebrating our 25 years of Atlanta Nuremberg sister city relationship. Again, we welcomed over 120 delegations, 55 countries represented. Even the mayor was representing Atlanta at the United Nations. We take our international engagement very seriously. We know that Atlanta is starting to reach, is entering a different era, is entering a different sphere of global influence. We want to make sure that we're driving that story, and we want to make sure that we're reaching out to populations around the globe that want to be a part of that story. International business. So a part of that, reaching out to populations that want to be a part of that story. Last year, we worked with the Russell Innovation Center to conduct a trade mission to Cali, Colombia. It was a great mission that connected the ecosystems of both Atlanta and Cali, Colombia together. And we've been furthering our engagement based upon that mission. There's some great things in the works because of that mission. And we're really looking to continue to develop and roll out more trade missions that do that bridging and that connecting of people. We want to make sure that Atlanta is a home for all of the diasporas. We want to make sure that Atlanta is a home for any entrepreneurial spirit. We want to make sure that Atlanta is a home for people who just want a high quality of life. And we're doing that every day through these trade missions and building bridges to the international populations around the world. Doing business with the city, which is what you're doing right now. We have that workshop. We also have the Women's Export University. It will take a different form this year, but the Women's Export University directly engaged women businesses to teach them how to go global, how to build an exporting business. There's a lot of opportunity in trade, and we want to make sure that you guys can tap into it as a whole. Additionally, we had the Pan-African Global Trade and Investment Conference. Atlanta is being viewed more and more and more as the gateway to the continent, and that's exactly how we like it. We want to make sure that we're building that relationship across the water as much as possible. We want to make sure that we're viewed as the home of the African diaspora, and we want to make sure that we're providing opportunities. And then finally, we have the Metro Export Challenge program, which is ran by our partners at the Metro Atlanta Chamber, where we basically created grants for people to do business abroad. Sports diplomacy. I mean, we do a lot of soccer stuff. As you probably can see, we do a lot of soccer. Premier League had a visit with Soccer in the Streets. Soccer in the Streets is an esteemed partner of ours. We really like working with them. We've even had a Czech professional rower come as well as soccer players. And of course, we're getting ready for 2024 Copa and 2026 World Cup. So we're really enthusiastic about our sports diplomacy program because it's fun. And it's a good way of just connecting people together. It's a good, fun way to connect people and businesses and grow the city of Atlanta's brand. And with that, guys, that's the office in a nutshell. If you have any questions, please let me know. Please tap in with us. There will be further global opportunities that we will present to the business community. We want to make sure that you can see it, that you're able to tap into it, and that you can take the opportunity. And with that, I'll open it up for questions. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you definitely. Oh, yes, and please make sure to speak into the mic so that the people on the web can hear. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Well, we don't have any right now for particularly that. Our space in this is just making it a more welcoming city as a whole, so that people can feel welcome to come. There are a lot of community groups that are doing the kind of connective tissue work to really build those bridges. But we're here to kind of set the tone for, hey, Atlanta is a place for the beloved community. Atlanta is a place for opportunity for all. Yeah. Any other questions? Oh yeah, please speak into the mic. I'm sorry. Oh, they don't have one back there? I'm sorry. Oh, we don't have any RFPs out for our office. Procurement will have. We'll talk more about the RFPs. Yeah, that's next. That's next. It's coming. It's coming. Oh yeah. If when you're talking, please press the button for the mic because that activates it. Yeah.
All right, this thing is green. All right, Anthony Howard from HR Certified. I know there was a lot. The general question is, do you need to be based in or live in Atlanta to do business with Atlanta?
Not at all. Not at all. But we would love to have you here.
Oh no, I'm here. This is for somebody else who's.
Not for procurement's sake. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Nick, for a very insightful presentation. I learned so much today. My question is a bit particular. I think that you spoke about the Ethiopian airline and Hartsfield-Jackson partnership. Could you give maybe a bit more particular example of, because there are these niche of international tourism, and how those niche, including food tourism and maybe also medical tourism, how that's affecting like the local economy or the Atlanta economy.
Yeah. I'll start with gastronomy, food. So we just got awarded the a few Michelin stars, really boosting Atlanta's prowess in the restaurant scene. When it comes to how we take that type of stuff and move forward with it, we tend to ingest it and market it directly to populations and to delegations. So now, when a delegation comes, I tell them, hey, did you know Atlanta's also XYZ. You won't believe, you know, a lot of as much information as we have on the web, people aren't going to look for it unless you tell them about it. People aren't going to know it unless you tell them about it. And that's what we find with ourselves when it comes to really pitching Atlanta globally. It's like people, they don't know Atlanta's here for the most part. It's not on their radar. But then when it gets on their radar, they're like, oh my God, I didn't know this was here. I was like, yeah, we're here doing great things. And so we have to, we're ever more working to market that and use those accolades and assets and growing economic assets to really pitch the city as a whole. So the Metro Export Challenge grant, program has already concluded its applications for this round, but please follow our social media because we'll let you know when the next round opens. For the Women's Export University, that will come in a different form this year, so it won't be a cohort style. I can't really release much information about it right now, but it will be more of a workshop coming on later in the year. And so I'll let you know, well, again, follow our socials and stuff so that you can stay abreast of when that information drops as well.
Testing. Good morning. My question is, what would you say is the low-hanging fruit, so to speak, in terms of exports? What are you seeing that's easiest to get out of Atlanta and across to our partners? And what are those products or at least industry, if you have that information?
Okay, first and foremost, I want to highlight Natalie because she was one of the entrepreneurs that went to Cali, Colombia with us on the trade mission. So thank you, Natalie, for your business and thank you for really coming and really making that trip awesome. It helps when we have our business owners with us on these trips because, you know, government to government is one thing, but when an entrepreneur can talk to another entrepreneur in another place and begin to build those deals early, that really helps set it off. So thank you. Now, as far as this very financial question, as far as trade goes, it's really wide open right now. I mean, we're seeing an expansion in a lot of sectors. Honestly, I can't tell you a specific product that has been. You know, I know commodities has been boosting. I know that people have viewed Georgia as a target for agricultural exports. But Atlanta's not really, you know, agricultural. But as far as like the direct products, I don't really have that data for you in that sense. But I do know that like as we begin to open up these pathways of investment, there will be more opportunities to make deals in spaces that that these businesses reside in. So. Oh yeah. Guys, I can answer and talk about international stuff all day long, but we need to get to the meat and potatoes of why we're here. And that includes Invest Atlanta resources and procurement. Thank you guys for your time. And with that, I'll pass it over to Ashley.
Hey everyone, how are y'all doing? Good. My name is Ashley Reevely, and I'm really excited to be here. I am a native of Houston, Texas. I went to Howard University in DC, and then I migrated here in Atlanta. I say all that to say I've been in a few cities, and I do understand that Atlanta is quite progressive. I do work for the Invest Atlanta, and the chairman of our board is the mayor, Andre Dickens, and he is extremely passionate about business owners and entrepreneurs. So I'm speaking to all of you today with resources. Every day he's like, what is the city of Atlanta doing? How can we push them forward? How can we make sure the citizens of Atlanta feel valued and empowered? So I want to make sure that all of your questions and goals are answered, but make sure you give me a little bit of time to explain. So during my presentation, I want to talk about one, what does Invest Atlanta do? What do we do? How do we support you all? And then all of the resources that we can provide for you. I will ask that all of the questions, comments be saved for the end. And I'll also be hanging around after. So if you have any questions that are directed towards your business, feel free to reach out to me. And I'll also leave my contact information. Cool. So Invest Atlanta is the official development authority of Atlanta. So what does that mean? What does that do? That means we're here to support small business owners, entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs who want to be legitimized. So what does that mean again? That means that we give you the tools, resources, and empowerment to really legitimize and scale your business. So City of Atlanta business license, we help you with that. Also locating grants, loans, and funding opportunities. So we like to think of it as your big brother or big sister in business. So if there's any questions that you have about, Ashley, what is a license? What is this permit? I'm having troubles with talking to my councilman about XYZ. That's where we come in and help you maneuver that process, because we do understand it's a bit cumbersome. And more importantly, as a small business owner and entrepreneur, we understand your goals and visions. They're different. You guys are really in the weeds, talking to customers and really trying to scale your business. And we are here to aid you in that and help you with making sure we understand your values and understanding, hey, these are these resources that we have available, so you don't have to do that. I see a lot of head nods, so I'm really happy that I'm here, because our goal is to service you in the community. And again, make sure that you all know we are really trying to move Atlanta forward. So don't feel like we don't hear you. We really do. It's really making sure that we streamline the process to make sure that there's not a lot of cumbersome processes. There's no unnecessary fees and taxes that you all are surprised with. So Invest Atlanta, we have a lot of branches. I think we touch a lot of the city of Atlanta. We talk a lot with Nick, we talk a lot with Jan, especially with procurement and suppliers. So we do make sure we say we are your big brother and big sister in small business, because if you come to us with a need and saying, hey, I have specialized toilet paper and I would like to vend with the City of Atlanta Airport, how do I do that? We actually help you do that. And so we want to make sure you all understand that we're here as a vessel for you. But because we're so in the weeds, sometimes we don't understand or see what you all need. So reach out to us, utilize us, because most of our businesses and consulting services are at no cost to you. So what we offer is the Open for Business program. I am the program manager for the Wells Fargo Open for Business program. And what is that? It is loans and grants available to you at an extremely low interest rate, a lovely interest rate of 3%. And I will talk more about that. We also are so passionate about you all having resources. We do have hub zones within the city of Atlanta. In every neighborhood, we have an office site that you can come in and say, hey, girl, how do I apply for this? What is an NIS? What is an EIN number? How do I legitimize my business? So we do touch every neighborhood in the city of Atlanta, and I'll go through that more. And what you do is make an appointment, and you can just come as you are and say, hey, I need help. And that is our job, to help you. And if we don't know the answer, we'll tap on Nick's door. We tap on a lot of our partners like Rice and say, hey, Derek is looking for some loans. What do you have available? So we really do touch a lot of Atlanta, and the purpose is to service you all. Also, we do offer no-cost business assistance via ATL and business. It is essentially no-cost consulting. I want to repeat, no-cost consulting. So if you have a business idea that you can't necessarily flesh out, business planning, accounting services, if you need help with trademarking or patent or accounting P&L sheets, we help you with that at no cost. I would like to re-emphasize it is at no cost, and typically that fund will end in December. So please, please, please apply. And I am the point of contact for that. So if you have any questions about enrolling, I can definitely help you with that. Also, we do have our Women's Entrepreneurship Initiative. So that is for trailblazer women, who I see a lot of y'all in here, who are really interested in scaling your business. If you've been in business for 1 or 2 years and you have about 1 to 5 employees and you need help legitimizing, scaling your business, looking for brick and mortar, we're here to help you with that. And also opportunity zones. There is a really cool program that if you are in an opportunity zone, you get a tax credit per employee, and we can talk a little bit more about that. We doing good so far? Any questions? No? Okay. Cool. So as I mentioned before, I am the program manager for Open for Business. Wells Fargo gave the city of Atlanta $20 million to support entrepreneurs and small business owners. And that $20 million is for loans and grants. The grant is closed at this time. However, we do have a few loans that are applicable to you all. We do have the Atlanta Recovery Loan Program. That is about $150,000 loan with 3% interest rate. And that is especially for interior, exterior improvements to your business. So if you have a brick and mortar, or if you're interested in a food or retail space, we do offer those kind of opportunities. And also, the mayor is really passionate about the Atlanta Technology Startup Growth Program. That is a $2 million fund where $150,000 loan with a 3% interest rate, and that is for our tech startups. So I'm sure you all have heard Atlanta is very passionate about being the top 5 tech hub, and I think through this fund, it is very viable, very, very tedious, but we are a partner with the city of Atlanta and Donnie Beamer, and they're passionate about making sure that the technologists in the room understand that this fund is there for them. And so we are really excited about that. Wells Fargo just reallocated an additional $1 million just for that fund. Yeah, so this program, this one specifically is for the Atlanta Loan Recovery Program. So materials, products, startup cost, working capital, we really want to help you get your business off the ground and scaled. So I am the program manager for this fund. So if there's any questions or how do you get funding, I'm your POC for that. But I would like to say, unfortunately for our programs, you do have to have a City of Atlanta business license. And I say unfortunately because everyone needs to know that. However, if you have any questions with that City of Atlanta business license, it can be a cumbersome process. However, we do handhold you through Atlanta business. So typically where we find that the cumbersome process is with the notary, and we do have a notary on hand at our location. So if you need help with getting a City of Atlanta business license, which all of you all should have, because it really is the key to legitimizing your business, especially in Atlanta. The City of Atlanta business license really unlocks a few doors that you won't have without it. A lot of those opportunities come within being in our Rolodex. So specifically on Monday, we had an entrepreneur who was looking for a Black-owned toilet paper and a Black-owned paper towel company to be vendored through the airport. We were able to make a phone call and they had their City of Atlanta business license and now they're secured. So it is really pivotal to have that. It is an investment in your business. I will be frank and tell you there is a fee of about $211. That is with the taxes, that is with the services, and that is with the initial City of Atlanta business license. So it is really an investment in your business. And I really implore you to go through that process. Again, it is cumbersome only in the sense of you have to have your documents notarized. However, I can help you with that process. If there's someone that you are not getting in contact with or someone's not answering your emails, call me and we can figure that out. But I do implore you to get that City of Atlanta business license immediately. It does renew annually, so include that in your budget yearly, but it really is a key to unlock a lot of the opportunities here in Atlanta. Yeah, so there are 4 programs within the Open for Business program. So we talked about the recovery loan, we talked about the technology loan, but more importantly, Wells Fargo is really passionate about commercial down payment assistance. So as you all have heard, the World Cup is coming. And so that means there's a lot of international headquarters who are looking to scale their business here in Atlanta. But what does that mean for you all as City of Atlanta residents? That means you all get first dibs on the commercial spaces. So Wells Fargo and Centennial Yards in partnership would like for any entrepreneurs or small business owners to look at this program. It is a $250,000 loan that is 3%, and it does translate into a grant after 10 years with being financially stable. So we really do implore you to start looking at commercial spaces. And if you're looking for a brick and mortar, reach out to us and we can start talking to you about commercial space opportunities and opportunity zones. This presentation will be sent out, so don't feel the need to quickly write anything down. We'll send it out and make sure that you all have all the information that you need. Cool. So I chatted a little bit about our satellite offices, but we are extremely passionate about being on the ground, being a resource for you. So we have locations at the Russell Center. You can come in at any point. We do advise that you come with an appointment. However, you can stop by. We welcome that as well. We do have a location on Metropolitan. We do have a location in Southwest Atlanta at Mary Parker Foundation, as well as Pittsburgh Yards. And you can come in as you are and say, hey, I need help with applying to my business license. I don't know what an EIN number is. I don't know what a unique identifier is. We will help you with that. And as well, you can come in as you are and you can really bring other business owners with you, because our goal is to make sure that you have the tools that you need. That is funded through Atlanta in Business, and they are no cost consulting for you. So again, there are consultants who are waiting on the line for you guys. They call me often and they say, hey, we want to reach out to women business owners, and I will refer them. So really, you guys, it is an opportunity at no cost for you, and I highly recommend it. I sit at the Pittsburgh Yards location. So Monday through Wednesday, if you all need some business support, I'm there for you all. And at the Russell Center, we do have a representative there on Monday and Wednesdays. So this one, if you all have any questions about how to make an appointment, how to navigate to our offices, please let me know. Again, the no cost business consultants, and they are very hands-on. If you need help with business planning, a marketing strategy, if you need help with accounting, because I understand the P&L sheet and a capability statement, it is overwhelming, especially for business owners who are operating through the day. This program is for you to help us help you with what you need. When the World Cup comes and all of these business comes, we want to make sure that you all are top of mind, because you all are here first and you are our priority. So we want to make sure that you have all the tools you need to legitimize and scale your business. So we talked a little bit about the Women Entrepreneurship Initiative. So with this program, we really are looking to scale women businesses, making sure that you all have the proper HR setup to pay your employees W-2s. That's something that we run into a lot. Our small business owners are not understanding, or they don't really know the proper protocol. And that's what we're here for, to just make sure your businesses are set up appropriately and, more importantly, legally. So we do have a lawyer who looks at trademarks and patents and make sure that your HRs are up to date. So please, again, your big brother in business, we want to just make sure that you have everything in place so that when Centennial Yard comes, when World Cup comes, you all are at top of mind and first priority to us. Opportunity zones, I talked a little bit about this, but this is really an opportunity to have a tax credit. So if you have a business with 1 to 5 employees and they make above a certain amount, we do offer a tax credit of $3,500 for each employee, and that is verified through the state rep of Georgia. So again, the key to all of these opportunities is that City of Atlanta business license that we really, really would like you to have. We even help you apply for that. And once that City of Atlanta business license is acquired, then we can start talking about federal vending opportunities. So, okay, everyone got their photos. Okay, great. So once you have that City of Atlanta business license, then we start talking about contract opportunities. So once we recommend that you secure a city contract first. And so that looks like doing business with the city. Once you have that City of Atlanta business license, and you're sort of in our system, in our Rolodex, then we can start sending emails on, hey, we're looking for vendors to support MARTA Transportation Festival. Is anyone available? And they're very, very specialized. So it's very important that when you file for your business license, you're pretty accurate with your industry, because a lot of the RFPs, RFIs, RFQs are specialized to industry focused materials. And just for everyone's context, we do have and post RFPs, RFIs, and RFQs on our website. So please, please, please sign up for Invest Atlanta email notifications, because we do blast them as soon as we get them. And just for everyone's knowing where it is, RFP is a request for proposal, meaning there are contracts and they're looking to solicit work. An RFQ is a request for quote. So that means that the city is looking for business owners like you all to come in, but they're unsure of the budget. And that's where you can come in and kind of name your price, which is a really amazing opportunity. And then a RFI is a request for information. So that's where the city says, hey, we are looking to revitalize this business at 2 Peachtree. Does anyone know a contractor or developer? And we really do utilize our email blast. So please sign up on investatlanta.com for that information, because we really, really do want the City of Atlanta residents to be top of mind first. So now that I talked about all that stuff, we are really excited to talk about Atlanta Business Marketplace. Atlanta Business Marketplace is a unique marketplace where we work with the City of Atlanta. We work with Delta and all of these partners who are very, very specialized with saying, hi, Invest Atlanta, do you all know someone in waste management? We need them. We need a contract tomorrow. Atlanta and Business Marketplace is the vessel for that. So as business owners and entrepreneurs, I implore you to create a profile on Atlanta and Business Marketplace. Talk about your industry, how many employees you have, your background, if you're a woman, male-owned or veteran-owned business, and they are vetting for you guys. They are constantly looking for business on Atlanta and Business Marketplace. We actually have a workshop with Delta Airlines next Thursday, May 2nd, and they are specifically looking for contractors in the city of Atlanta. So please, please, please go on investatlanta.com and look at our events and sign up. I'll also blast all that information to you so you have it. But y'all, the city of Atlanta is pretty popping, I will say. There's a lot of businesses who come to us at Invest Atlanta, and they're looking for each and every one of you guys to really answer contracts. They really are looking for unique ways to fund and grant for small businesses and entrepreneurs. And there's one of me, but many of you guys. So I'm a vessel to share this information to you guys. Again, I'll be around if you all have any questions, comments, concerns, grievances. I'm here to help you. So thank you again. Invest Atlanta is here to help you and support you. Come by and stop at one of our offices, and I'm sure we'll figure out whatever you all need. Again, I'm Ashley, and it was nice talking to you all. Have a great day.
Thank you, Ashley, for sharing the resources of Invest Atlanta. It's really an incredible tool for you guys for grants, loans, and other resources. Like she said, unfortunately for their resources, you will have to be a business in the city. But as far as procurement, which is coming up next, that's open to anybody. But before we bring procurement up, we wanted you guys to be able to hear directly from a business that has been doing business with the city already, and hear what they think about the process and how their experience has been.
My name is Kenneth Katz. I own La Bodega at the Met and Buenos Dias Cafe, along with my wife, Jeanette Flores Katz. Buenos Dias Cafe opened downtown in 2013, and La Bodega at the Met opened in Adair Park in 2019. Well, when we were downtown, we were constantly visited by City Hall. We were walking distance from there, and someone who came regularly suggested we sign up so that we could get some catering opportunities, and walked me through the whole process, and it was really no problem. And we get catering orders out of it for Buenos Dias still to this day. So to sign up to be a vendor, you really just need to bring documentation you already have, your city business license. Because we're a restaurant, I believe we had to bring our food permit, and insurance, I think, was the only other thing we needed. Like I said, it was all things we already had. And because we were walking distance to City Hall, we just did it there. I'm sure at this point, online or can be done just as easily. Well, first thing is, in general, sign up to be a vendor with any possible business that you can, even if you don't think it's something you'll need, because you never know when a department all of a sudden needs something that doesn't fall under the masthead of the entire city. We're not caterers for the city of Atlanta. We cater for different departments, and when they have an event that they need that ties in. We've worked with the Department of International Affairs. We've worked with some youth empowerment programs. It's just that once you're in circulation of any entity, that there's a possibility that you'll get used. So the first thing I would say is that you just want to sign up with anybody that you can. The second thing I would think of is, under promise and over deliver. Anything that can make an organizer of any event have your portion go easier and smoother is always a reason for them to call you back, because you're coming through for them, and that's just something they can check off their list. Ooh. Years ago, when I first moved here, it used to be 85 and 75 going out of town, but now now I think it's really the convenience of being in town and working with things in town. We live in Grant Park. Our shop, like we said, was downtown in Adair Park. We commute 8 minutes. And so our circle of influence is really just a small area. And even if we have to cater to the edge of the perimeter or Buckhead, it's not that far. I'm sure there are people who are outside the perimeter who feel the same way of their communities, but it's really become an active inner city community that we really respond well to. Another great thing about the city of Atlanta is the cultural diversity and the willingness to try new things. When we introduced pupusas to Atlanta in around 2014, 2015, there were a few people who were aware of them because of other communities they've lived in, but most people were not. And we've had the opportunity to spread the love of pupusas all over town in farmers markets, catering events, pop-up events. And now it's the main core of our business. And I think it's the idea that people were culturally curious and, willing to try things that really separates us from us being Atlanta from a lot of different cities.
All right, guys, for what you've been waiting for, we're going to bring up our Deputy Chief Procurement Officer, Kevin Floyd, from the Procurement Department.
Good afternoon. Always such a pleasure to spend some time talking to suppliers, potential suppliers, and I'm excited to hear the appetite already in the room for what I'm going to talk about. So I know this will be a great session. As mentioned, I'm Kevin Floyd, have the great privilege of serving as Deputy Chief Procurement Officer for the City of Atlanta. I'm going to talk a little bit about procurement, some transformation that we've gone on, and then I'll really get to the nitty-gritty of what you all want to hear, which is how to engage with us, how to find opportunities, how to get business with the city. So probably we're coming up on 2 years. We really rebranded the department. And so we established a clear mission, vision, goals. And so I'll talk about that a little bit. The big thing is our mission is we want to transact business with the highest levels of integrity and engaging minority and diverse suppliers in the supply base. So our vision statement is excellence in value creation through partnership, collaboration, and innovation. So you'll see a theme throughout a lot of what I talk about, what Jan talks about around partnering, collaborating with suppliers, because it is a two-way relationship. It's not just us giving you all information. It's not just you all supplying goods and services to the city. It truly is a partnership. And we follow the ABCDE principle. So for everything that we do in procurement, we want to act on opportunities. We want to be bold in the decisions that we make, committed to the cause, decisive, and then ethically engaged. And so we have 4 goals that we defined as part of this rebranding. I won't spend a whole lot of time on these, but create fair and open competition, promote women-owned and diverse suppliers in the supply base, not just in the city, but across the supply base. So we do have a global group of suppliers. I heard some discussion earlier, and as was mentioned, you do not have to own a business or operate within the city of Atlanta to do business with the city. Ensure that our process is transparent, open, fair, and inclusive. So you also hear transparency and fairness a lot because those are 2 big things that are key to what we do as an organization. And then we conduct business with the highest levels of integrity by holding all of our employees accountable to the outcomes. So a bit of the structure of the department, we went through a restructuring. So we have a chief procurement officer, now 2 deputy chief procurement officers. Of course, I'm one. And then we have a group of directors. And so it's split into a strategic sourcing wing, which handles all of the procurement for the entirety of the city. We are a centralized procurement agency. So anything the city buys, from a clicker for a presentation, pens, papers, all the way to building a 6th runway at Hartsfield-Jackson, all of that comes through our shop. Departments don't have their own permissions to go out and buy things without it coming to us for oversight and approval. And then I also created a Center of Excellence, which is the wing that drives transformation, change management, training, supplier relationship. It's really all of the non-procurement operational aspects of the department. Back in September of 2022, we launched a new website, atlsuppliers.com. And then last year, we gave it a complete facelift. So it's basically like a whole new website again. It is the one-stop shop. I'm sure Jan is going to talk about this at length, so I'm not going to spend too much time, but there is a QR code if you want to access it. But this is where all things procurement lives. We also created an IVR. Oh, you need, there you go. Sorry. Okay. We created an IVR system. So if you call the city of Atlanta, you now get an automated voice response that will guide you through some questions. One thing that's very important to me and a lot of feedback that I heard is when I call the city, I don't get to the right person. I get transferred 15 times, and then I'm on the phone for an hour trying to figure out who to talk to. So we created a system. So you call it, you go through the prompts, it's going to make sure that you get to the right person the first time. Because again, I'm very big on customer service and making sure that you don't waste a lot of time talking to folks who don't have the information that you need. And a lot of this information is self-service, so you don't even have to talk to a person. It's just information that we give you either on the website or through the phone. We also created a newsletter, which we send out around the first of every month. This goes to every single registered supplier. So if you're not a registered supplier with the city, if you register with us, which you have to do business. So if you actually want to be eligible to receive purchase orders and invoice the city, you have to be a registered supplier anyway. And you get the added bonus of you get automatically subscribed to the newsletter. I cannot advocate enough for receiving this because it is chock full with a ton of information. All of the trainings that we do, every single week, we're doing some kind of training or engagement with suppliers. All of the events, we travel all around, speak at things like events like this. We host our own events. So you'll hear all about the stuff that's coming down the pipeline. Procurements that are currently advertised or coming up is on there. So there's just a ton of information, and it's a great thing that you get. It's completely free. You automatically get it. Like I said, if you're a supplier, and I give you a ton of information that you don't have to go searching for yourself. Okay, so I'll talk a little bit about the updates that we went through as it relates to the process. And then I'm going to talk about sort of the outcomes that we've seen from that. And then I'll get into the actual piece on how to find opportunities and go through the engagement process like that. So one of the big things for me as we were transforming is I want to make a very user-friendly, standardized process, because a lot of feedback that I heard from talking to thousands and thousands of suppliers over the years was there's duplication in the process, it's convoluted, it doesn't make a lot of sense, it's not user-friendly. It's very difficult for somebody who's never done business, isn't a seasoned person, to navigate through the process. So with that lens, we went through updating the instructions. And so I went through it, and I told the team, it reads like you need to be a lawyer to understand it. A lot of legalese. Let's strip it down to layman's terms and make it make sense. If I don't understand what something means, then a lot of other people are going to have issues as well, because I work in this business. So really try to make it simplified, clear, concise instructions. You don't need a 300-page encyclopedia of instructions to do business, or we've clearly missed the mark on promoting fairness, inclusivity, and saying we want to do business if we make it that complex. So made it streamlined, standardized, took all of the forms that we had, went through them looking for duplicate. Are we asking for the same thing on Form 1 and Form 7? Let's get rid of it in one place, if not both places, if we don't even need it. What are we legally required to ask for? What have we just been historically asking for? Being a millennial, the worst words you can say to me is, we do it because that's the way we've always done it. Those are bad words. And so I said, if there's not a legitimate reason for us doing it, we're not going to do it. And so took out a lot of stuff. And this is an iterative process. So if you come in and you go through the process and you still see some things that feel a little bit clunky, I don't want you to think that I'm standing up here saying, oh, we've achieved the euphoric, perfect in-state process. No, it's iterative. There's still updates to be made, but we've come a long way. And I've gotten a lot of feedback that says, yeah, we see what you're doing. We see the intent. And too much change all at once is going to cause as much issues as a complex process. So we want to do it incremental, be very strategic in how we do it. But all the forms now are branded. So a big thing for me was I want you to be able to look at a City of Atlanta procurement and know just by looking at it that it is legitimate and it comes for us. We have had issues where bad actors try to pose as the city and reach out to folks and make them think that they're getting business and things like that. And so for me, again, integrity is a core pillar of what we do. I want it to be branded in a way that you can very clearly see, okay, this is City of Atlanta. So you'll see that branding on every single thing that we put out. We added version numbering for document control, all the stuff that helps us internally to make sure that every person that is a procurement professional that works for us is using the same forms, using the right version, because I've seen instances where, oh, you do a procurement that's aviation specific and it has a different set of forms than something for watershed. And the forms and the process are the same regardless of what we're buying and the user agency that is using it. So I say all of that to say, if you have experience with the process or you're just new coming to this, my hope is that you'll find it to be consistent. You'll find it to be very concise. It'll make sense. You can get through it without needing a PhD in supply chain management. Then we also made some updates to the contracting process. Do you have a question? Yeah, it's all, we all use the same registration process, the database of vendors, whether you're a nonprofit or a for-profit, that's all the same. So we updated the contract process as well, because if you take a look at end-to-end procurement, the contract portion of it is where the most time was spent. That's where we lost a lot of time negotiating with companies, their attorneys, the back and forth. It could take 3-4 months. And when you go through a long procurement process and you get to the end and there's negotiations and God forbid you can't come to terms, then we've just wasted a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of resources to not have a successful outcome. So we said, how can we eliminate a lot of this, get ahead of it? We started putting the contract with the solicitation so that anyone that looks at it can see, here's the city's standard contract. These are the T's and C's we're going to ask you to sign. These are our non-negotiables that we're not going to negotiate on. And so then you all as suppliers have the opportunity to look at it up front. And if there's things that you know your legal team's not going to sign off on, then you move on to a different opportunity and you don't spend the time, because it costs you all effort and time and energy to submit for these, just like it is for us to put them together. So in hoping to eliminate that, we're putting it on the front end, being very transparent. This is what it is. If it's acceptable, submit a bid. By submitting a bid, you are in essence saying that you agree to the terms. There are a few things that we can negotiate. There are certain sectors like technology where there are end user license agreements and things like that that obviously have their own process. But on the whole, the city stance is we don't alter our standard terms and conditions. What is provided in the solicitation is what we intend to sign and have that be the executed contract. And of course, if you fail to accept the terms and you submit a project, that could increase the likelihood that you get deemed non-responsive. Okay, so the procurement process itself, we went to a 7-step standard process. So if you talk to any procurement organization, they all have some number of step process, a 5-step, a 7-step, a 12-step, just depending on the organization. But it all looks very similar to what we have here. It goes from defining the opportunity all the way through to monitoring results and continuous improvement. And by having a standard 7-step process, we are able to significantly reduce the amount of time that procurement takes. And I'll talk about some of the outcomes here on this slide. So this is a picture of what we did in the last fiscal year. So for our fiscal year 2023, and we'll have updated numbers as we come now to the end of the current fiscal year. But when I go to say all these things that we did, it's nice to talk about change and process improvement, but did it actually have an effect? Did it improve the way we do business? And so this slide is what tells me, yes, I think we did achieve the things we were after. So we did 317 sourcing events. That is competitive sealed procurements. That's a lot for any public sector agency, even one the size of the city. We onboarded 3,200 new suppliers. So there's no shortage of suppliers coming into the supply base. We average about 200, 250 every single month coming in. So there's always an appetite for new companies, which is always encouraging because we want an expansive, diverse supply base. We want 100% digital. So again, I'm all about it's the 21st century. We should be utilizing the technology that we have. There were filing cabinets all over our office. That's a big turnoff for me. So we digitized everything, went away from paper-based, electronic signing of the contract. So if you get a purchase order, it's going to be sent to you electronically. If you get a contract, it's going to be sent to you through DocuSign. I don't want paper. I don't want people bringing out 7 boxes from Kinko's. You shouldn't have to do all that to do business. And a lot of feedback that I heard over the years was that alone cost several $1,000s printing out copy after copy after copy. So by going completely digital, that's at least one expense that you're spared. So 317 sourcing events with a contractual value of $23.1 billion. Now that is substantially higher than most public sectors. That's also a lot higher than a lot of private sector companies. And so I always share this because I think it's a lot higher than most people think. And I also share this to say there is more than enough opportunity to go around. With that kind of spend, that kind of volume, we should have a very, very diverse supply base. We lowered the average cycle time that it takes to do a procurement from an average of 345 days to less than 130 days. Our target now is 90 to 120. So again, these incremental things I talk about, we still have a little bit of work to do there, but that's still very competitive, especially in the public sector space. When I talk to my colleagues across the country, they're still at 200, 240 days. Some even take a year. So we're very proud of the fact that we can do a lot of procurement, very high dollar spend, and still do it in an efficient, effective manner that results in it being around 125 days. We issued just shy of 18,500 purchase orders, and we reduced the amount of time it takes to issue a purchase order from, it was taking 10 to 11 days from when we got the request to 2.3 hours. Today, it's 1.1 hour. So when we get a request, we turn it around, not just same day, but usually within an hour of receiving it. And so that means if you're anticipating work from the city and you're waiting on a purchase order, you're not waiting days and days and not hearing anything. When it comes to us, we're turning it around, getting it out. We processed 26,000 requisitions. So most of those become purchase orders. The rest become sourcing events. The PO spend alone was 2.3 billion. So we got 23 billion in contracts that we did, another 2.3 in purchase orders. This year, we're set to close just shy of 3 billion in POs. So the work has definitely ramped back up in the post-COVID environment. The city has got a lot of stuff. As was mentioned, we have the World Cup. There's a ton of events coming. There'll be a ton of procurement work. So we're all gearing up for what is going to be a very busy next couple of years. Reduce the number of procurements that were aged, so things that had taken in excess of a year to execute. We closed those out or canceled them. We reduced the number of canceled solicitations. So that was another big complaint that we had internally, but also that suppliers had, is I go through the process. It takes all this time, especially when it was taking 300-400 days. And then at the end of this, you cancel it and I don't get anything. So we were averaging about 115 or so a year. We got that down to 38 because it cost us about $60,000 to $75,000 to issue a solicitation, and the salaries of the people working on it, all of the folks that have to be involved. So it's as much a hit to us as it is a disappointment to the supplier community. So we really look at a strong justification for if we're going to cancel things. And then we reduce the amount of contracts that we extend via legislation. And what that means, if we have to go to legislation to extend a contract, it means we did not get a new contract in place by the end of that contract's term. That tells me that somebody did not do their job. And so that sort of became practice as we would go in and we would extend and extend and extend. Now we're able to initiate these requests sooner, get them through the process. And then when the one contract is done, we're ready with the executed contract to pick right back on. Okay. This is the part where it gets less decorative on the slide and more meaty, but this is also the part that I think you all want to hear the most. So how to do business with a city. There are two ways. I've spent a lot of time talking about the formal process, which is where a good chunk of the work comes from, but there is a significant amount of work available under the second process, which I'm going to talk about now. So in July of last year, we changed the procurement code to raise the thresholds of what we call small and micro purchases. They were historically $20,000 for a small purchase order and $5,000 for a micro. A small means that a user agency can solicit 3 quotes, send that to us, and we do a PO. You don't have to have a competitive sealed process. It's how we buy a lot of the smaller things, food for an event, security for a site where something's going on, and that sort of stuff. And then a micro purchase, $5,000, no quotes. They just reach out to the company that they want, send it to us, we vet it and issue a purchase order. In July of last year, we increased those thresholds to $100,000 for a small PO and $25,000 for a micro purchase. So what it does is it gives a lot of agility to departments to be able to buy the things. Inflation, the state of the global economy has changed in such a way that $20,000 does not buy what it used to. And so we took a hard look at it. Through the results, we were able to convince the city council to let us increase the amount of authority. And I have final sign off on small POs, so we're able to empower the amount of authority that my position has, and then increase the amount of authority that the CPO's position has, and drastically reduce the amount of things that we have to go out for a formal procurement. So I say all that to say now what was previously the $20,000 and a penny to $100,000 work that was going out through a competitive process is now going through just getting 3 quotes from companies and issuing a purchase order. So that bucket has created a significant amount of opportunity for companies where they weren't quite ready to be able to submit and meet the financial requirements and the insurance requirements of a formal, but the $20,000 wasn't quite enough to really build the business and get it where it needed to be. And so now this new area that we have, I think, has really fueled a lot of investment into companies that have never done business with the city. And a lot of that is with small and diverse companies. And so to either way you want to do business, like I said, you have to be registered with the city. You can register on atlsuppliers.com. I'm sure Jan's going to speak to that more in just a minute. Go through the registration. Once you get registered, the most important thing that I can advocate for is when you register, or even if you're already registered, uploading your capability, competency, and capacity statement. So what that is, that tells us who you are, what you do, how big your company is, what your annual revenue is, that kind of stuff gives us a good picture of what your company is, so that when we go to look for whatever it is that your business provides, you come up in the list. Because if you just register, you don't tell us what you do, you're just a name. We have probably 80,000 companies registered across the database. So you don't want to be just one of 80,000. You want to stand out. You want your name to come to the top of the list. How do you do that? By having all of your products and services listed, fully complete your profile. There's only a few things that we require you to submit. There's a ton of optional stuff. And so I strongly advocate for give us more is better in this situation, because it tells us who we are. When user agencies are looking for companies, when we're looking for companies, it helps you sort of rise to the top and get noticed. And so this is a lot of what I just talked about, the thresholds increasing. And so the user agency will reach out, solicit quotes from a company. or up to 3 companies. They'll submit it to us with some paperwork. We review it, and then we'll issue the purchase order. Now, I will add a caveat to that is both the micro and the small purchase are limited to it's per vendor, per department, per fiscal year. So your company is eligible for up to $100,000 with each city department in a given fiscal year. So the same department can't use you over and over and over and issue 5 $100,000 POs. They can only issue up to $100,000 per fiscal year. But you have that access to every single department. There are something like 33 city departments as it relates to how we track this. So there's still a tremendous amount of opportunity, but just know that we are legally limited to the amount, and we do track that. Now, for everything over $100,000 does require the competitive process. Again, you have to be registered. All of those come out issued through Oracle, which is our supplier portal. You have to create your response, submit it in there. We don't take any paper bids anymore. You can't email your response in to us. It's got to go in Oracle if you want it to be seen. And then we have a whole evaluation process that we go through. But if you are bidding in the competitive space, one thing that I think we've also done a much better job is informing you of whether you won or whether you didn't win. Because I've talked to a lot of folks that say it's sort of like a black hole. I submit my response and then I don't hear anything. We don't know if we won. We don't know if somebody else won. We don't even know if the city's still interested in this. And so for me, it was the least we can do is say, hey, thank you for your submission. We've selected somebody else, or congratulations, you have been awarded this and we're going to go through the contracting process. So if you do that, you have my commitment that it's not going to just sit in cyberspace for eternity and you never know what's going on with it. Okay, some frequently asked questions that we get. How do I let the city know about my products and services? I just talked about this a little bit. Add them to your supplier profile. Create as robust a list as you can. We use NIGP codes for our category tracking. So we have the list there that you pick from, but you can also upload PDFs, PowerPoints, Excel documents, videos to your profile. So there's really, it's limitless up to whatever you want, as creative as you want to get when you're submitting and putting that stuff in your profile. And then the second best thing that you can do is exactly what you're doing right now, is coming to events. Like I said, we participate in and we host there's probably not a month that goes by that we're not doing something in the supplier engagement space, sometimes 2 and 3 times a month. And so again, if you get the newsletter, all of those events are in there, but that's a great way to meet one another, meet us, meet other user agencies. So we do things where we have businesses come in specific industries and sort of showcase what it is that you do, and we'll bring the user agencies from the city around to meet you. So we're doing everything that we can to empower you all as suppliers and make sure that you get in the system and then have a platform to showcase. Because it's easy to stand up here and talk about how to register and all of that, but we also want to put some action behind it and give you the space to really showcase who you are as a company and I can't guarantee you business, but I can do a lot of stuff to put you in the right place, connect you with the right folks to put your business in the most strategic place possible to get business with the city. And then lastly, I'm going to spend just a second on the legally part. Prohibited contacts. Any project that we formally issue goes into what's called the blackout period. And what that means is from the moment it's advertised until the moment it is either awarded or canceled, the only person that you can talk to about that opportunity is the assigned procurement professional. Can't call me and talk to me about it. Can't call Jan or her team and talk to them about it. Just the assigned procurement professional. And so that ensures that there's one single point of contact. We also ask that any questions, if you have questions about a particular project, you submit them in writing. We do not respond to verbally asked questions, or if you see one of us in the hall and ask a question, we're not going to issue an authoritative response to that. We only respond formally to questions submitted in writing. You are prohibited from contacting anybody else in the city. So if you happen to be very close to the mayor, you can't call him up and say, "Hey, I want to get this contract." He's gonna tell you exactly what I'm saying. We're in the blackout period. You have to talk to procurement. And if you violate this, especially repeatedly, you run a risk of not just being disqualified from that particular project, but also being disqualified as a supplier in general. I will say we have never had to disqualify anybody in the 10 years that I've been around. So we don't run into a lot of issues, but I always like to call this out because a lot of people violate the blackout period with the best of intentions or not even knowing that they're doing anything wrong. And so we're lenient in that space. We're always course correct, but I always like to point this out because it's something that a lot of folks aren't aware of. And then I'm not going to really go through this slide since it's going to be shared, but these are some best practices, especially as it relates to bidding, some of the common pitfalls that we see suppliers get caught up in. I think, you want me to answer questions now or wait until Jan finishes and then? Okay. With that, I will turn over to my fantastic supplier relationship manager, Ms. Jan Rivers.
Thank you, Kevin. Thank you. So glad to be here. I appreciate spending time with you today and welcome to this event. Appreciate partnering with Welcoming Atlanta. I'm Jan Rivers, the supplier relationship manager. I just want to introduce, we have a couple team members here. I believe Adrienne Jackson in the back. Can you wave, please, Adrienne? She is a supplier support specialist. And we've got Robin Spiegelman, who you may have talked to out in the lobby at the table. Oh, there she is. And she's here as well. So we, along with two other folks, and we're actually hiring a sixth person, are here to support you. And so I'm also wanting to connect a few dots this morning about some things that were said. So first of all, the solicitations that Ashley mentioned, those are for Invest Atlanta. So Invest Atlanta is its own entity. And if they're making formal solicitations to purchase goods or services, that's going to be through their website and everything. The decisions and the processes involved are Invest Atlanta's processes. On the other side are city solicitations. So the RFPs, IFBs, all of that is purchases for goods or services that the city is purchasing, those would be on our website. And then also just to reiterate some things that Kevin said. So we think about it as two paths to doing business with the city. So we talk about solicitations, we talk about RFPs, but we know that it costs thousands of dollars for companies in terms of time and resources to create responses to these solicitations. And so you as business owners obviously have to be discerning about whether it is if the return on investment is there for you to respond to these solicitations. And so you have to make that decision. They are time intensive, they are labor intensive, there are a lot of forms to fill out. And because it's such a complex process, we actually have a training every other Wednesday. We moved the training though, so you're in luck. The training is tomorrow at 2:00. And if you want to attend that training, you can come up here to atlsuppliers.com and come to training resources. And there'll be a place for you to register for that training if you're available tomorrow at 2:00. And again, that's the solicitations training. So as Kevin mentioned, everything that costs the city, that will cost the city more than $100,000 has to go through this competitive bid process. And the reason that we have that blackout period in this competitive bid process is so that we do have a fair and equal, even playing field for everybody. So we have that blackout period so that all the information all the questions flow into one person and you're not getting three different answers from three different people. And then the answers are published to everybody who's interested in hearing what those answers are. So you get the same information, the same way, the same time. And that's how we're making this an even playing field for everybody who wants to be in these competitive bid situations. So that's the path of the competitive bids, those large contracts. It is not for the faint of heart, I will say, because it is time, time intensive. It's going to take some time to fill out these forms. It's going to take some time to read through these forms. But again, we have training to help you with that. And Kevin also mentioned that because of the blackout period, all of your questions about the contents of those solicitations, if you need information about details of what is that department really seeking, those questions have to go to that procurement professional listed on the solicitation. What the supplier support team can answer are tactical, where do I click? I'm having this error in the system when I try to upload my document, or I can't find a document. So anything that's tactical, but not specific to that project, that's what we can answer. And so please contact us. I'm going to give you that phone number that was on the IVFR slide. It's 404-546-1000. And that's the supplier support number. And so me and the team manage that number. We're there to help you. You can also email us at suppliersupport@atlantagA.gov. So that's the competitive solicitations bucket. The other bucket that Kevin mentioned was up to $100,000. And so how do I get these POs? How do I get a request for a quote for my goods or services that I want to offer the city? He mentioned that when you register, you upload your capability statement. So that's important so we can find that. We are working on ways so we can get this information searchable and accessible by the people in the departments who are looking to find suppliers. But there's another way too, and that is your products and services listed on your profile. So if you have a catering business, for example, there's a particular number that you're supposed to use to put on your profile so that when I do a report to give these departments a list of all my caterers, you'll come up on that report. And so to find that list, you're going to go over to doing business with us, and you're going to click on what to expect. And there's a little recap page of some information, and you're going to scroll down and you're going to find a little hyperlink to those codes. And they're just NIGP codes. They've got a numeric prefix, and then they've got some description. You're going to have to, it's a spreadsheet. You're going to have to look for your code that best fits you. If you can't find your code or you don't know what code to use, give us a call. We'll help you find it. So I also wanted to connect the dots with some things that Ashley mentioned earlier, and that was under on our website under atlsuppliers.com under other helpful resources. There's a link to the Invest Atlanta page. There's a link to that marketplace website. And so she mentioned registering your profile, setting up your profile on that ATLM Business Marketplace website. That is free. And if you think of it as like a matchmaking site, it's business to business. So maybe you have a trucking business with a couple trucks, and you want to get those prime contractors who have the big contracts, you want to subcontract for them. There are a couple different things for you to do, and one of them is to register on the ATLM Business Marketplace. The other one, of course, is to register with the city. And so taking that scenario and linking the two different paths of competitive bids and just the purchase orders. So maybe in your trucking company, in this example, you have provided some quotes to the Department of Watershed Management for some trucking services they're gonna hire you for, and that's up to $100,000. You got that PO, you're doing that work, but you also want to work for a prime contractor. How would you find that prime contractor? Again, atlsuppliers.com. If you go to finding opportunities, you're going to find two important areas up under there. The first one is projects out for bid, and that's going to show you the public facing page. So somebody earlier in the program was asking about how to find these RFPs. You're going to find them under projects out for bid. And that is the public facing page, meaning you don't have to be logged in to view this information, but you can see all of the solicitations that are out for bid for the city. And you're going to notice that you can't click a hyperlink to get in there. You can't open it up. You can't see all the details. And that's because in order to see all the details and in order to respond, you do have to be a registered supplier. And so you have to be a registered supplier, which you would do by going to doing business with us and how to register. So you would click on that to register. What's required to register is you need a taxpayer ID, you need a W-9 that is signed and dated that has that same taxpayer ID on it, and you need your banking information. We ask for your banking information when you register. And the reason why is because city policy is to pay via ACH. So we're not going to send you a check. There's too much fraud that has occurred with checks being stolen. So we're going to pay via ACH. Now you will walk through a process, and guess what? We have a training on that process. Adrian and Julia do that training every other Wednesday. So that's going to be next Wednesday. If you want help just walking through the process of registering or managing your profile, they're going to help you with that. That's at 10 a.m. And so again, to register for the training, you're going to go to training resources. Now, we also have videos that help you if you're not available to go to the training, the webinar training, you can watch the video, and that's going to help you a lot too. So in addition to all of these resources here, we have our social media, and we have that newsletter that Kevin mentioned. And so there are a lot of moving pieces to viewing and responding to solicitations. So I highly recommend that you attend that training. There are some moving pieces and some important information on how to register and manage your profile. So I do recommend you attend that training as well. And at this point, I'd like to open it up for questions. Yes.
Okay, hello, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon. I noticed on one of the slides during Kevin's presentation, you don't have to be registered with the city, but you do have to have a business license. So what entity, for instance, I'm in Forest Park. Do I get my business license from the city of Forest Park?
Okay, if you think about it, it's all about who's buying your goods or services. So if we're buying your goods or services, you can operate your business in Forest Park, and we can still purchase your goods or services from there. Right, exactly. Yes.
Good afternoon. I have 2 questions, please.
Okay.
The first one is, as a supplier, is there any requirement to have products that are made in the US or any preference for that?
No, we would love to address that, I think, further down the road when we're a little more mature in our supplier strategy. But at this point, no, there's no requirement.
I will say, so the federal government passed the Buy American Act, which I think goes into effect either this year or next year, which is like things like manufacturing stuff like steel and stuff that has historically been bought overseas now has to be American made. So that's not a city of Atlanta requirement. That's a federal requirement that's going to have a huge impact, especially on infrastructure, watershed projects, transportation projects, airport projects. So keep in mind that the feds are doing some stuff in that space, and that does trickle down and impact us as well.
At the moment, it's not something that is going to impact a supplier who is sourcing globally.
I don't think it's going to have an impact right now. I don't know exactly when it actually takes effect, but it is something that I would start researching now, because it is definitely going to change the supply chain logistics in 2025, 2026 for sure.
It's already in effect.
Is it? Okay.
Thank you. My second question is in regards to something that was mentioned in your presentation, Mr. Floyd, about the contract extensions. When a contract is coming to an end, how far in advance is the extension being secured? How far in advance does the supplier know, okay, we're going to continue using your services? And then how is a determination made on when to extend or who you're going to extend versus giving a different business an opportunity?
Sure. So most contracts that we do have a 3-year base term with 2 renewal options. So it can go up to 5 years. It has been historical practice that we typically just renew things almost on autopilot. Now, I have a little bit of a different opinion on that. And so I've started implementing where we have to look at what the market can change a lot in 3 years. And so where's the market? Does it make strategic sense for us? But if we do decide to renew, we're going to do that at least 120 days in advance of the contract expiring. In most instances, there are instances where things get missed and it ends up being closer down to the wire. But historically, it's about 120 days to either renew or if we say we're gonna let this one end and we're gonna go back out, the market's changed, or we need a little bit something different. This didn't quite meet the expectation, whatever it is. We'll start that closer to like 180 days out, just because we know if we're targeting 90 to 120 days to complete the process, we want to get the ball rolling a little bit in advance of that.
We have a question virtually from Donna Jones. She asked, I'm a registered supplier, certified minority agency, have bid several RFPs via procurement, but have not won as of yet. As a small business with specialized service, I prefer being a sub. Is there a process to bid via procurement as a sub only?
Okay, so that process is, you would make that agreement with the prime. And so what I can tell you is that under the finding opportunities menu option, there is a bid tabulation sheet and pre-bid conference sign-in sheet listing. So for both of those, well, for the pre-bid conference sign-in sheet, you can go to past solicitations and find who attended that pre-bid conference. So even if it's not a solicitation you're bidding on as a sub, you would find primes listed there that you can then contact because their contact information is there. You can contact them and let them know, I'm a sub, I offer this. Would you like to partner with me? So it's really between the sub and the prime. And for certain contracts, certain goals are set depending on how the funding works and everything, but that's always between you and the prime. So the prime would be submitting the solicitation response, but they would already have lined up who their subs are that they're going to work with. That was under finding opportunities. So what's under here is the list of projects currently out for bid. And then there's also a listing of pre-bid conference sign-in sheets. And so even if it was from 2 years ago, you can look and see, okay, this was a construction bid. So I know I can look at, see who prime companies are, or this was a concessions bid. So I can see who my prime companies that work out at the airport and concessions are. And all of their contact information is there. And we have a question in the back. Can you speak into the microphone, please?
Grab them from another table.
Thank you. There you go.
Still ain't working? Hello?
There we go.
Oh, there I go. Okay, yeah, I might sing to y'all. But look, I got a small trucking company, and I missed the information that you had said about the trucks when you was giving your presentation.
Okay, yeah, let's go back over that because I think this is a perfect example because, you know, as I said, there are the two paths of doing business. One is to do just get a purchase order, and that's going to be the way you would do that is you would submit a quote to the department who's looking for those goods or services. But if it is going to cost them more than $100,000, they're going to go through the competitive bid process. And so that's where this trucking company example comes in. So if you're a sub, maybe you're not able to do the entire project that is listed, but you know you can do a piece. And so what you would do is, again, under finding opportunities, you're going to go to atlsuppliers.com and look under finding opportunities. And you're going to look and see what the projects that are out for bid right now are. And then you're going to go to the finding opportunities, look at the pre-bid conference sign-in sheets. And you're going to find out what are the companies who went to this pre-bid conference about this construction project on which I want to be a sub. And you're going to contact them directly. So you're going to look and see who are the primes there. It's probably, there's not a scientific method, but you're just going to look at the name and maybe do a little research. And so this isn't handing you the work on a silver platter. You're still going to have to do some research. You're still going to have to do some checking, some calling, some emailing. But what I'm saying is under that finding opportunities tab, you're going to see what are the current projects, and you're going to see who attended these conferences. And of course, you can attend too. It doesn't matter if it's in your business area or not. You can attend a pre-bid conference. How do you find the pre-bid conferences? You look on the projects out for bid tab, and you look at the PDF of the bid, or else you log in as a supplier and go to the solicitation, and you look at the cover sheet, and that's going to list when the pre-bid conference date is. So you got to stay up to date. Even though we do email you and we post on social media when these solicitations come out, you still have to look at the solicitation to find out when those pre-bid conferences are. You still should probably look at the website on a regular basis to see what's new, what's come out, because new ones come out every week. Hopefully this helps you. But also attend the solicitations training tomorrow at 3 or 2 if you can, and I'll show you exactly where to go. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock, it's on Microsoft Teams, so it's virtual, and you can register for that training. It's under training resources right here. It's called Viewing and Responding to Solicitations. You're welcome. Yes, ma'am.
I see a training for today. I don't see one for today's.
No, that one was moved. So just email supplier support and we'll send you the link. Yes.
Hi, Jan. In the beauty of transparency, is it possible that the city could set some type of policy if the contract or award is over $1 million, that you post who it's awarded to so that you can see who is being awarded and then contact those primes?
Yes, I'm going to let Kevin respond.
I love that. And I can say we are actively working on not just for things in excess of $1 million, but for everything, posting the award letter, because that is being transparent and it reduces that's the number one question we get. So later this year, that is actually going to be rolled out and you'll see that in Oracle. So you'll be able to see the historical projects and you'll be able to see the award letters.
Thank you to the both of y'all for such an insightful presentation. I learned a lot. I may not be using a proper term because I've never done this, but bear with me. Could you maybe speak to certain restrictions that individuals who are offering multiple services or who have multiple businesses who are trying to maybe work or procure them to to the city? Are there certain restrictions that we should be aware of? I mean, Atlanta is such a dynamic city with individuals who are able to offer so many services, especially the young ones. So are there restrictions existing that you know of?
The only thing that comes to mind is if you offer 3 different services, say, it's probably going to be in your best interest to have those businesses be separate so that you can register all 3, because of what Kevin talked about in terms of the small and micro purchases. If you get quotes, if you are doing work for the watershed department under business A, then you can do up to $100,000 with them if your quote is the lowest of the 3 quotes per fiscal year. And then business B can also do that amount. You see what I'm saying? But if you just have like amalgamated whatever as your business and you offer all these different services, then you're going to be restricted to just the one time.
Just to piggyback off his question, what if you have integrated services? So say you do creative media services and you also do youth media arts mentorships, and you use the opportunity to mentor the youth. So if I get a contract with the city of Atlanta, I use that opportunity to bring one of my youth in to help me shoot the event as part of mentorship. How does it work for integrated services?
I don't think it would be any different because I don't think we would necessarily be purchasing, in your specific example, both of those services. Like we would be purchasing the creative services, and then what you do in terms of mentorship would sort of be on the side. So I don't think there would be a conflict there. But if it's, implementation and training services, if you want to be able to offer it could work both ways, really, but we can actually have a conversation about that if you want to come to the solicitations training or the onboarding training, or just give us a call. Awesome. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
This is to you, Kevin. When the RFPs go out and the extension is there for the 90 days, and they have to go through legislation, does the RFP start when you do the extension to get through legislation for the company, or does it after the extension that you gave the supplier the extension, the RFP begins?
It's typically going to start when the extension starts or before, because the goal is to have the new procurement completed by the end. Why we give an extension is to give enough time to do a new procurement. So if we wait till the end, then we bought 90 days and done nothing with it, really. So we're gonna extend it and concurrently run the procurement, the RFP, the IFB, so that we're executing at the same time that the extension ends, so that it's a seamless transition. And we like that. We prefer to have overlap because, especially if we're transitioning from one supplier to another, we want there to be a little bit of time for a handoff and all of that. So we don't want it to be right at the tail end. So it's going to be, the clock's going to start at the 90 days, if not even sooner, just to make sure that it goes all the way through and we're not in the same boat where we bought 90 days, but then there's still a gap. We're going to have to go, that's where we have to go to legislation and extend it and all of that. So we really try to avoid that at all cost.
What's the city of Atlanta fiscal year?
July 1st to June 30th.
And like the federal government, I apologize. I'm sorry. And like the federal government, do you have like a use or lose like the federal government does, or you said July 1st to June 30th, you said, right?
That's right.
Okay. So if you don't spend everything by June 30th, like the federal government, you have a use or lose period?
So the city's departmental budgets do not carry over year after year. So like I have to spend all of my procurement budget by the end of June. Okay. But if I've engaged in a contract that is a multi-year contract, I'm going to budget for the amounts each year encompasses. So it's not like, oh, I gave you a 3-year contract, but I'm out of money because the year ended. So appreciate you. I'm going to make sure that we're being fiscally responsible and accounting for that. So you do lose the money that you don't spend, but the contracts roll over, open purchase orders roll over. And so it's not like anything by the end, we just kind of shut it off and that's that.
Yes, sir. Thank you. One more question is, I know you guys are a small group. Do you allow companies to come in and give a capability briefing to you? Because one thing to put a capability briefing on the, in the platform and everything, but it's different when a company actually come in and brief you about what they really do, and having that communication about what we do and how we do it. Do you guys allow that?
We do allow that, and I'll show you where to go to request that. You're going to come up here to communications on atlsuppliers.com. And under the communications menu option, there's going to be an engage with us menu option. And there are 2 things that you can choose. You can either choose to invite us to your event like this, and we'll participate, or you can request a introductory meeting. And so there are some questions that we're going to ask you, like, what is your industry? What differentiates you? Just things like that. And so there's a little process that it goes through, and then the team kind of looks at this and vets it, and we either approve or deny the request. but we really want to be able to hear this from you. You have to keep in mind, though, that there's volume. And so there are only so many hours in the day. And so we definitely have this. What we do is, depending on what your industry is, we will contact whatever departments we think are, going to use your goods or services. And we will say, here's what the supplier offers. Are you interested in an introductory meeting? So then we wait for them. And, if they say yes, we set something up for you. This year, we're looking to set up a automatic booking process where you could just book on a calendar, but we're not quite there yet. But I also want to emphasize that we have a lot of other events. Specifically, June 18th is our big supplier expo that's coming up at the GICC. And you're going to hear about that. Robin's going to send those invitations out either beginning of May, you said. And so you will have an opportunity to have a table or, a booth in the expo. And then you'll also have the opportunity to sign up for speed dating networking. So you would be able to say, I want to talk to Department of Transportation, Aviation, and Watershed, or I want to talk to police, fire, and corrections. And so you would set up with a table with them, and then you get to talk directly with them. So that's another great way to do it.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Thank you.
So welcome. I know you were waiting.
I apologize.
No worries. I had two questions. First is we're thinking about the small and the micro opportunities. How do you find them? I know you said, I don't know if you guys are picking from a list of suppliers in the portal or if those are actually posted.
No, they are not posted. And those are all initiated from the department who needs those goods or services. So you're not able to say, like advertise directly to them. They're not posted. They just determine those needs. They contact the suppliers for the quotes. And so if they think it's going to cost $25,000 or less, they're just going to contact whatever supplier they want and ask for a quote and do business with that supplier. Again, one time per supplier, per department, per fiscal year. If it's going to cost between $25K and up to $100K, they're going to have to get 3 quotes from 3 businesses that provide those goods or services. And then whatever the lowest quote is, they have to go with that business. So there's no posting of this. They would just email or call you and request a quote, but you're not going to provide those goods or services until you have a purchase order from them.
Okay. And then my second question is, considering that you guys are trying to create more opportunities for small businesses, have you aligned your payment schedules with, eliminating those additional hardships? Because for a small business, if you have a 90-day, window to be paid, sometimes it can be difficult for small businesses to thrive in that environment.
Absolutely. So we have a couple things on that. We definitely need to own the areas where we can improve. And one of those would be in that area of making sure our small business owners are not having to extend us financially. Our city payment terms are net 30. However, you can request if the department says, yes, we want your goods or services, you can request immediate payment terms on the requisition. And then in addition to that, for our larger projects, we're looking at getting rid of the bid bond check. So particularly for construction projects in the past, the business would have to give a check that puts like maybe 10%, I think, of the 5% of the cost of the project. They would have to give us a check that we hold on to so that if they don't complete the work, we could cash that check, but we've never cashed that check. So we're working on getting rid of that. And we just want to know that your business is financially stable enough to complete the work. And so we are definitely addressing those things. But in the case of the smaller purchases, you want to just ask that user agency, can you please request immediate payment terms? And then
so I have a question about, it's 2-part. Do you accept unsolicited proposals? Right now, there's trillions of dollars offered federally that are coming to locals, and not all locals are applying to them. If you're a business and you see a large grant that you can provide, but your city has to go after it, can you put an unsolicited proposal or partnership with the city to go after that?
I'm going to defer to Kevin on that.
Stand up. Okay, that's a good question. I would say, I don't like the term unsolicited proposal. What I would say is you should absolutely reach out. The mayor has a Office of Strategic Partnerships. And so that information is on the atlanta.ga.gov website. I would absolutely send them a note and say, hey, there's some money that the city can apply for, because while we do a pretty good job of keeping a finger on the pulse of what's available, I think if you all see it from your lane and want to advocate that, send that to them, send it to procurement, we'll pass it up the chain. Going after grants does not go through procurement, other than I have to sign the contract to accept the grant money. But yeah, send it to us, send it to the mayor's office, and get it in front of the right people. I think that's the least the least that you can do to make sure that at least somebody's aware of it. Okay.
Thank you so much to Kevin and Jan for your information. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And thank you all for coming. We can't do this without you. It is quite literally our job to make sure that you guys have the resources that you need to thrive here in the city of Atlanta. So thank you all for being here. Thank you all for your businesses. Give a round of applause to yourselves. And with that, guys, we're going to conclude this Doing Business with the City workshop. Please look out for more events from procurement. Look out for more events from us. And stay tuned for more resources. Both all Jan, Kevin, and Ashley will be available in the lobby, I think, a little bit after to talk directly to them. Please get their business cards. Please get their contacts so that you can have them as a resource. Thank you all again. Bye-bye.